Welcome everyone to this explainer. Today we're unpacking the science, the symptoms, and the actual lived experience behind the term high-functioning autism. Drawing on insights from licensed mental health professionals, we're going to look at this whole topic through a lens that really champions neurodiversity. So whether you're a parent, an educator trying to adapt your classroom for better student support, or just someone who wants to understand and champion the neurodivergent people in your life, you are in the right place. We're going to give you clear, actionable, and truly empowering information.
Okay, let's just jump right in and start with the most foundational question. What does this term actually mean? We hear high-functioning autism tossed around all the time, right? In casual conversation, at school, in the media. But honestly, there is so much confusion about where this term comes from and how it actually applies to daily life.
So here is the absolute most crucial point. High-functioning autism is not an official medical diagnosis. No, really, you literally will not find it in the DSM. Instead, it's basically just a casual label used to describe someone on the autism spectrum who can speak, write, handle basic life tasks, and usually live independently. People who fall into this part of the spectrum often live lives that look pretty much just like anyone else's, and they're generally considered to be more cognitively high-functioning compared to others on the spectrum. But here's the catch. Because it's an unofficial label, it can actually make it a lot harder for these individuals to get the specialized support they need, simply because they don't look autistic to the outside world. In this explainer, we are going to break things down into 4 parts. Moving beyond the casual label, the neuroscience of the brain and the spectrum, navigating the lived experience, and finally, empowering support and therapies. Starting with Section 1, Beyond the Casual Label, the history of the diagnosis. To really get this, we have to look at how our understanding has shifted over the years. Back in the 1990s, medical professionals finally started widely recognizing milder forms of autism. That's when the term Asperger's became super well known. Before that, basically only the most severe cases were ever diagnosed. But as the science got better, the medical community realized, wait a minute, autism truly is a spectrum. And that's exactly why in 2013, all these separate, fragmented diagnoses were brought together under one unified umbrella: Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD. So if you still hear folks using terms like Asperger's today, they're just using an outdated label or referring to a diagnosis they received before 2013.
Moving on to Section 2, the brain and the spectrum, the neuroscience.
Now, understanding the neuroscience here is an absolute game changer, especially for parents and teachers. It's fascinating to compare 2 specific brain regions where researchers have found structural differences in those with ASD. Think of the amygdala as the brain's internal fire alarm. It handles survival instincts, memory, and really strong emotions. Now contrast that with the orbital frontal cortex, which is the logic center, handling cognitive processing and decision-making. Imagine if an autistic person's amygdala is essentially misfiring, like a constant blaring fire alarm. It makes total sense why they can become so easily overwhelmed in social situations and struggle with emotional regulation, right? Their brain's alarm bell is literally ringing, making it incredibly difficult to self-soothe and navigate daily behavior. And because of these intense neurological differences, we very frequently see overlapping conditions, or comorbidities, happening at the exact same time. The big 4 we see alongside high-functioning autism are anxiety, OCD, bipolar disorder, and depression. Well, why is that? Science points heavily to serotonin. Research shows that both high-functioning autism and OCD are directly linked to abnormalities in a person's serotonin production. In fact, serotonin levels can trigger and amplify all those comorbidities we just mentioned. Plus, you have to remember that individuals with high-functioning autism are often extremely self-aware. They know they process things differently. That deep self-awareness can lead to crippling anxiety about fitting in, or even severe depression over their struggle to connect with peers. It's a really heavy mental load to carry. Okay, Section 3, navigating the lived experience, symptoms, and routines. So how does that constantly firing amygdala actually play out in daily life? Well, social interactions take massive amounts of energy. We're talking high anxiety before an event and total crashing exhaustion afterward. People might struggle to pick up on jokes or sarcasm, so they seem really mature. But internally, they're feeling incredibly lost or uncomfortable. This is exactly why they find such extreme comfort in strict routines and order. To an outsider, these habits might seem a bit rigid or quirky, but these routines are their lifeline for managing sensory overload. For parents and educators, this is the big takeaway. Something as simple as implementing an actionable, predictable morning routine checklist can drastically improve daily regulation and literally prevent meltdowns caused by overstimulation. And that brings us to a wonderfully empowering perspective from mental health advocates. Autism isn't a disease that needs to be cured. It's a unique cognitive difference. It's a different operating system. The whole goal is reframing these unique perspectives so they actually work for the individual. It's about celebrating neurodiversity and leveraging natural strengths. For instance, a hyperfixation on details and strict routines, that can translate into phenomenal success stories in fields like computer science, engineering, or detailed research. It's all about playing to those built-in strengths.
Finally, Section 4, Empowering Support and Therapies.
Let's look at the actionable tools available. Here are the core foundational therapies. Occupational therapy is brilliant for meeting folks where they are and building fine motor skills and daily life activities. Speech therapy is great too, and it goes way beyond just talking. It teaches individuals how to decode those tricky, unspoken, nonverbal cues that the rest of us take for granted. And psychotherapy is absolutely essential for managing the anxiety, depression, and OCD that so often come along for the ride.
You're also probably going to hear about Applied Behavior Analysis, or ABA. It's a behavior-focused therapy. Now, to be completely impartial here, this approach can be quite controversial. Some advocates worry it focuses a bit too much on trying to make a child act normal rather than celebrating their neurodivergence. But on the flip side, it is incredibly well-researched and has literally worked miracles for many families. It's really just about understanding the landscape and figuring out what aligns best with your child's specific needs.
Now, if you want something highly practical for the real world, check out RDI, or Relationship Development Intervention. It's a family-based treatment. Look at Step 3, Integrating Light and Sound. This therapy specifically trains individuals to process multiple sensory inputs at once. So if you're looking for simple strategies to help someone handle an incredibly loud restaurant or navigate a chaotic, busy party, RDI helps practice and manage exactly that kind of sensory overwhelm step by step.
And hey, there is an absolute abundance of other creative options out there too. Social skill classes give kids a safe sandbox to practice interacting. Floor time therapy is heavily recommended. It's literally just parents and educators getting down on the floor and meeting kids at their own play level to build connection. For nonverbal children, PECS uses pictures to communicate, which drastically cuts down on frustration. And don't sleep on physical therapies. Aquatic therapy in a pool or equine therapy working with horses are amazing, proven ways to improve focus, handle sensory issues, and just make daily transitions so much smoother.
As we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Remember, everyone's experience on the spectrum is beautifully, wonderfully different. Some will thrive in their careers and relationships, while others will face profound daily struggles. Some will cruise through school, while others might need their teachers to adapt the classroom environment, maybe by creating a sensory-friendly quiet corner or using visual schedules. So how will you use what we've talked about today to listen better, adapt your approach, and truly champion the neurodiversity in your own community? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep advocating, and keep celebrating these incredibly unique minds.